my definition as a Buddhist is always I'm a translator in a sense between the ancient language, ancient wisdom spoken by Buddha 2500 years ago, right? And the people living today's world. So I'm a translator between this, right? So the ancient wisdom and the people living today. This is, in a sense, the beginning of marketing. As everybody knows, when we can really completely immerse ourselves into some, books, it's a joy, and it's a very, timeless experience, right?
Yeah.
Very meditative, contemplative, mindful.
Welcome to Shelf Therapy, the podcast where literature meets inspiration. We are passionate about bringing the magic of books to the young readers, especially in Indonesia. In each episode, we dive into conversations about books and how it can profoundly impact your lives, and in hopes can help you navigate yours. We would really appreciate your support by subscribing to this channel. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below, and please leave us your feedback so that we can grow together. This season, we are shooting at the comfort of Bumi Kinar's library in Ubud, so I'd like to extend my heartfelt gratitude for them for lending us their beautiful space. I hope that you enjoy the podcast. Today we have Shoukei Matsumoto. Shoukei Matsumoto is a Japanese Buddhist monk with over 2 decades of experience. He is the chair and co-founder of Interbeing and the founder of the Institute of Temple Management. He is the author of several books, including A Monk's Guide to a Clean House and Mind and A Quiet Mind, which has been translated for the first book into more than 17 languages.
Yeah, now it's more, almost 20.
Wow, almost 20 languages. He has also translated works such as Roman Krznaric's The Good Ancestor, How to Think Long-Term in a Short-Term World. He is recognized internationally, having delivered lectures and workshops around the globe, and has been featured in the prominent publications such as the Japanese Times, The Guardian, and Forbes Japan. In June 2023, Forbes Japan named him one of the 100 Hopes to Save the World. He earned a BA in philosophy from the University of Tokyo and an MBA from the Indian School of Business. Hello, Shoukei. Thank you so much for joining us today in the Shelf Therapy podcast. How are you, and how do you find Ubud, Bali?
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to such a wonderful opportunity, and I'm really happy to be here. And this is the very first time for me to visit Ubud, Bali, and even Indonesia.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that's an incredible moment for me to be here. So it's surrounded by this, stunning views.
Yeah. It's really our pleasure, and we're so happy to have you because, the festival is also all about cultural exchange and having people not just experience Bali, but we also have people coming from all over the world to share their knowledge and wisdom from wherever they come from. So we're so happy to have you. Before we talk about books, I want to know, how do you feel to be named the 100 Hopes to Save the World? And can you tell us a little bit about that?
So it's too much, right? For me.
Too much pressure.
Yeah, too much pressure. So you know, I myself don't have any, power or the special, skill or knowledge to save the world. But at least I believe that we can hope to make a better world collaboratively. So yeah, I'm happy to be part of that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, with your practices, I really believe that if everyone implement that, we can really, really change the world.
Yes.
But I want to know more about you, maybe a little bit more on a personal level and your sort of relationship with literature and books and reading, and also how you grew up and how you ended up or become the person that you are today.
It's a long journey. Yeah. So I'm already, I turned 45. Yeah. So reflecting on my, life, I was born in Hokkaido, the northernmost part in Japan. So recently, Niseko is getting popular as a snow resort for winter sport, right? Skiing and with lots of good powder snow. So I grew up in very close town from Niseko. And you may not be familiar with the culture of Japanese Buddhism, but most of the Buddhist priests in Japan become Buddhist priests because of their family. So it's like I'd say lineage, small family, not business, but a small family practice, right? And the most of the priests do it as a profession, right? So even they are expected to have successor. I mean, to get married, to have a successor,
to
children.
Continue.
You mean, right? Yeah. But I'm not from a temple family. But I had a grandfather who was Buddhist priest. So my parents are not priests nor running a temple. But when I visit my grandfather mother place, so it's temple. It's a Buddhist temple. Yeah. So I'm a mix of grandfather's lineage, I mean the Buddhist priest, and the father, my direct father's lineage, who is a CEO of a company. So that's why I'm in between philosophy, the Buddhist philosophy things and business things.
Right. I feel like I can relate to that just because my father, he has a master's in Hindu philosophy. Well, my mom, even though she's very creative, she's a businesswoman at the end of the day.
A similar background.
Right? But I feel like both are, I guess I would like to say I got the best of both worlds because I can balance out having a business mind and sort of becoming more of a human, with philosophy. I really enjoy it, and I love spirituality as well. But yes.
Yeah.
And so you were saying?
So my father didn't say to me, you must succeed my business. Instead, he often said to me and my younger brother, so you guys can do whatever you want. So you don't need to, think of succeeding my business. So I somehow seriously took his message. And when I was a child, I was afraid of death. So, at the end of our life, we need to say goodbye to everything, right? So it's we are destined to leave to somewhere from this world, right?
Yeah.
And we don't know where it will be. So I was very much afraid of the fact that we are mortal, right? And impermanent.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know the purpose of this life and the meaning of this life and the destination after death.
Right.
So
I can relate to that too.
Oh, you?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I was first scared about when I started having this sort of fear of death was when I thought about the death of my beloved, my parents, my loved ones. I started having images of that. And then it started becoming myself. Like, how would it feel to die? I started getting kind of that fear and then had anxiety from that. But it's slowly fading away a little bit, especially if you've experienced death in your close family, etc. So I think it's a very interesting thought to have, right? Yeah.
Yes. In my case, I sticked to this question: where to go after death? Where did we come from? And who am I? These kind of fundamental questions as a human being. So I stick to these, and finally, I decided to major Western philosophy in university. Yeah, so that I can know more different way of thinking. There are a variety of different types of philosophies across the world.
Yeah.
Which shows different stories around death. So that's why I studied philosophy in the university. But what I found was most of the philosophers have very interesting, unique ideas, but most of them didn't live happy life. So
right.
not necessarily. So then, when it comes to the way of living better life, Buddhism, which my grandfather pursued, seemed very practical. So it's holistic, not only about thinking. Buddhism is not only about thinking, but also the physical practice and holistic. So that's why somehow, so to me, Buddhism become bigger, and finally, thanks to my entrepreneurship, succeeded from my father, maybe the business person. I decided to become a Buddhist priest.
Wow, that's such an interesting story. Yeah, I mean it's crazy to think that that you as a young person start getting fears or ideas about death and then question it, and then you want to find answers, and which leads you to where you are now. But how about reading or books and writing? What made you want to write about your experience, your knowledge about cleaning? Is it because you wanted to do it for yourself, or you wanted to share with the world?
Sure. Right after I entered to the Buddhist world, after graduating from university, it's not usual thing for the young guy to directly go to not to business world, but to the monastic world.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at the moment, the internet was getting more, accessible to the people that 20 years ago from now, right? So then I decided to record my daily experience on the blog.
Oh, you started with a blog?
Started with a blog.
An actual online blog.
Actual online blog.
What was it called? If you don't mind sharing.
So at that time, so the blog system itself was not that popular. So I remember the system was
WordPress.
Before WordPress.
Oh, before
WordPress. Movable type.
Movable type.
You may not know, but
no.
Movable type. So I got a package, downloaded, and I installed into a server, a rent server, and I started writing my own blog. So I'm sure, at least among Japanese, I was the first Japanese Buddhist monk who wrote a blog.
You're the first Japanese Buddhist monk blogger.
Blogger, yes.
Okay, that's really cool. I started a blog just recently because I feel like life has been moving too fast. And I do a lot of things. I go to a lot of events. I meet a lot of people. I travel a lot. So I feel like writing a blog was something for me to really slow down, remember my day, because I feel like my memory has been really poor lately. So it's kind of like for me,
sort of writing therapy.
Writing therapy, exactly. Was initially for me, I'm not thinking about who's going to read it. I care, but at the same time, that's not my number one priority to see who's going to read it. I hope that it's useful for other people, but actually it was, I guess, to add value to my life and to document my life also in a way. But how about you with your books or even blog? You started, was it because was it like me that you wanted to do it for yourself, or simply you have a message to say and like to help other people, basically?
So when I started writing my blog, I found I like writing, and I really enjoyed writing and publishing it. It's incredible, right? So on the internet. So at that time, so without using any publisher, I can directly publish my article on the web. So I really, got into it, and so I received sometimes feedback from the readers, and eventually after writing the blog for less than 1 year, I received the invitation from the publishing company to publish it. Yeah, so why not? So my first book was from my blog.
So you were scouted by a publisher.
Yes.
And how was that experience after you independently writing for your own blog to writing a book with a publisher? How was that experience for you?
So for me, there is no, theme. I mean, so it's a seamless things between, writing blog and publishing the content as a book. But for the people around me, say, my father and mother, really, surprised and received it as a, joy, right? So I felt the power of publishing a book,
Right.
right? So it's tangible, and it's accessible in the bookstore to the people who. So at that time, the internet itself was not that accessible, right? So the book was more.
Oh, the book was more accessible.
Yeah. So,
but what were the challenges working with a publisher, in your opinion?
So yeah, from the beginning, I really enjoyed the so the collaboration with the editor. Yes. The difference is so writing a book, I have an editor, right? Who supports me, collaborate. So that's a big difference.
And since you mentioned your father is a businessman, essentially, and I've also been doing this podcast for the past 2 days, so a couple of writers talked to me about how ever since they debut their books or novels, they really have to go from just being a writer who is a creative, basically, to also thinking about the business side and the promotional side. Is that something that you also have to go through or think about, or are you just letting, let's say, your publisher do it? Like, do you have to do promo now, or even social media?
My book is not a pure literature.
Yes.
But it's a way of life. It's about way of life. So it means it should be practical.
Yeah.
And interesting and easy to read for the readers. So my definition as a Buddhist is always I'm a translator in a sense between the ancient language, ancient wisdom spoken by Buddha 2,500 years ago, right? And
that's a long
people
time.
living today world. So I'm a translator between this, right? So the ancient wisdom and the people living today. This is, in a sense, the beginning of marketing. So that I have been always thinking about how I can make the Buddha's wisdom relevant to the today's audience.
Yeah.
So in this sense, all the religious leaders, so regardless of the religion, Buddhism, Hinduism, whatever, must be a good market.
That's true. Because without, I guess, relevancy, it can fade away, or without practicality, it's sort of become not a use. Not people can't use it in their lives, basically. So it can be forgotten.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned how when you went deeper into Buddhism, it became more than spirituality because you added the element of practice and perhaps rituals. And I think with our world today, we could be perhaps living in a more spiritual world than before. But I think what's different or what's lacking is the practice itself that actually sort of, I don't know, maybe it could even amplify spirituality or make it work better, if that makes sense.
I see. So for better productivity, for better efficiency, or
for just better living, right? Because I feel like having spirituality is sort of a guide for us in this journey of life. But by just only having the spirituality without the practice and rituals, it's maybe not as effective. That's probably maybe also why we have a lot of mental health issues, problems with our daily lives. So I just want to talk to you about maybe the importance of ritual and maybe share your practice to our audience.
So we shouldn't undermine the value of having rituals, right, in everyday life. So it's a embedded wisdom in our society, right? So yeah, in a way of thinking of the people living today, people tend to, overlook the value of things they don't know how to evaluate, right? But as a Buddhist, as a traditional Buddhist, yeah, when I was young, I myself used to overlook the value of the things that I cannot see any value out of it. But now coming to understand that even though I cannot see how valuable it is, the view to the world which I have is always, very limited, right? Limited within my, experiences, within my philosophy. So I should be aware that I always have something I cannot see through my, limited perspective. So now I come to understand I should, evaluate the things which I currently cannot understand or currently cannot, see any value out of it. So, so yeah, rituals are the things I often overlook, but I should try.
Right. Like, for instance, I struggle when I travel to keep my ritual or routine. How do you navigate that? How do you keep having your rituals with you? Is it about discipline or is it more spirituality? I need tips because I struggle.
Yeah. It's tips, I would say. If you stick to the spirituality, it's mostly about the thinking aspect, I mean. So the ritual, when it comes to rituals, the physical, exercise matters, there is no ritual without using any, physical things. Ritual is not a thought, it's a practice, physical practice. So in this busy life, it's not easy to have the long ritual every day.
Yes.
But it could be helpful if you could if you have some very short version of ritual,
right?
Which you can continue every day.
I feel like you're gonna say cleaning because you said you've told me to clean 3 times already. And I remember reading your book, actually, not reading, but listening to it on the audiobook, that it's really important to clean when you wake up and before you go to sleep. And I really, really like that. I will try my best to implement it more. And yeah, with having rituals, I think is also so important, especially even more if you travel and you don't have much time in your life. Because when I don't take care of that, my ritual, I feel like I'm not taking care of myself. And when I don't take care of myself, I don't take care of my mind. My soul, my mind just becomes overwhelmed and scrambled and all over the place. Hence, I become more stressed. And also with ritual, I feel like it's not just spirituality. It's culture. It's also like Bali's identity in a way, because Bali is known for its ritual,
yes,
which is part of its culture.
Yeah.
So that's a very interesting way to see ritual, not just spiritually, but also in a humanity side as culture itself. And since we were talking also about, I mean, I have so many questions, but maybe with cleaning, could you talk a little bit about cleaning? Because I know that you mention it a lot in your book. It's, I'm sure, something really important to you too. For the audience to know, why is cleaning important for spirituality?
So the cleaning practice reminds us of the fact that our mind is not separated from our physical world. You know, inner world is not separated from outer world, right? So that both are interdependent. Interdependence, interbeingness is the very important key concept in Buddhism, especially in Mahayana Buddhism. Everybody is interconnected, interdependent. Nothing exists as an independent thing. So this is the way how the Mahayana Buddhists see the world. So the cleaning is a beautiful, example as a practice that shows that basic philosophy. And the cleaning practice could be very meditative. One of my points is these days, people live very busy life, and the leaders who live very busy life tend to, think, okay, so my mind is scattered. I'm always, distracted by the call and the signals from my phone. So I need to practice meditation, mindfulness meditation every day. But yeah, so if you can do, yeah, it could be helpful. But already we are busy, so it may not be a good idea to add one more thing.
Yeah,
even
I do that.
Oh, you do that. So so my suggestion is you are already busy. If you look at your schedule, many things to do is already listed. So why not turning one of them into meditation, right? So you need to do cleaning every day, or so then if you can turn that practice, cleaning, as meditation into meditation, so then you don't need to add more things to do.
So to make the cleaning itself a meditation.
Yes.
You don't have to add meditation and cleaning. You combine, interconnected.
Yes.
Combine it together. Yes. I see. In fact, cleaning is very meditative, but because I see it as a chore and something like I have to do instead of something that you look forward to doing and seeing it as a meditation and something for yourself, I'm like too lazy, or it becomes overwhelming. But if you see it in a different way, in a different perspective, I guess it makes so much sense to see cleaning in that way. And you were speaking about philosophy in Bali, in Hinduism. Here in Bali, we actually have a philosophy. It's Trihita Karana, which is the three foundations to harmonious life, basically, the rough translation. And the three foundations are your relationship with God, spirituality, your relationship with people, and your relationship with the environment. And I feel like, well, if those three things are not balanced, if you don't clean your relationship with yourself and spirituality is off balance. And your relationship with other people is off balance. Like I see so many relations with what's changing in Bali and what's happening in Bali, the problems we have here with it being sort of rooting from internal problems that we are facing. For instance, we have a huge rubbish problem here. You talk about rubbish in your book, which I actually wrote down here from the audiobook. It says, what is rubbish? Things that are dirty, worn out, unusable, no longer useful, and no longer needed. Nothing starts out as rubbish. Things become rubbish when they are treated as rubbish. Which seems very simple, but I realize that's so true. I often discard things without thinking it because I don't respect that item enough and it becomes rubbish. Yeah, anyway, Bali has such a big problem with rubbish. But I feel like the root of the problem is because the minds of the people or the leaders are, I would say, maybe boldly say, a little bit corrupt or not in touch with spirituality and wanting overall wellness. Yeah, so anyway, coming back to your book and about gifting, because you mentioned that you gave your book to your parents and they were really, really happy. Is book gifting a thing in Japan? Is it something that they do there? Because I know that you have such a big gifting culture, right? In Japan.
Yes.
Is it also true with books? Is that something that you do there too?
Depends on the person, but I personally like giving book. So sometimes if I find a very nice book, so I sometimes give it to my friends before finishing reading through.
Oh, I see. Because you're like, you want to give the book to your friend.
Yeah, and so then I need to buy it again.
But do you give out your own book to other people? Yeah. That's so funny. So what are some of your favorite books that you give often? Or
I see.
Yeah.
So one of the way I give the book gift is translation, in a sense.
What do you mean?
I mean, one of the title I often give to my friend is Good Ancestor. So the book I translated from Japanese and English to Japanese, because I met the author of the book, Roman Krznaric. And in a conference, online, and this is a session called Good Ancestor. Oh, it's interesting, and I found that this is the guy who wrote this book. So I want to read the book before I joined the session, right?
Right. Yeah.
So then, so he said, okay, so but there's no Japanese edition yet, so I can send a English copy to you. So then I read through the book and found it very interesting and meaningful.
Right.
To my colleague, monk friends.
Yes.
Because Japanese Buddhism is mostly all about ancestor worship.
Okay.
in a sense. So,
which I know very little about, but I really love learning about.
So, sure. So this book,
Yes.
The Ancestor, gives us Buddhist monks very new perspective around how we see the ancestors, our ancestors.
I see.
So, okay, I want to,
you want to give to your friends?
Gift this book to my, monk friends, but that they cannot
read English.
Read English. So then I need to translate, right? So that's the way I, became a translator.
So I suppose you really love to give books to your friends because, I guess you want to share knowledge and information, etc. I find that so amazing and funny. So maybe next time if I write a book in English, I can give it to you, and then you can translate.
Yes.
Yeah, that's incredible. How do you feel when you read? Do you see reading also as a practice of meditation? Reading.
Yes. Reading is a very contemplative practice. And as everybody knows, when we can really completely immerse ourselves into some, books.
Yeah.
It's a joy, and it's a very, timeless experience, right?
Yeah.
Very meditative, contemplative, mindful.
And what is exactly like meditation for you?
Yeah, good question. So there are many different, types of meditation, and my Buddhist tradition is Pure Land Buddhism. So for most of you, the most popular type of Buddhism in Japan must be Zen Buddhism. Zen Buddhism. In Zen Buddhism, it's about mindful sitting, right? Sitting meditation. So mindful sitting as meditation. But in Pure Land Buddhism, I would say the practice is mindful listening. So it's a listening meditation. Listening to your voice, my own voice, and Buddha's voice.
Right. That's very interesting because I feel like when I'm able to listen and be present in the moment, when I'm able to listen well, I am able to be present in the moment. But I thought that meditation was sort of actually not feeling alive, but not dying, not feeling alive, but in fact, sort of mindless, have nothing in your mind. So sort of being in between,
empty,
being alive and not being there. So I'm just curious about what is meditation for you. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, so as I said, in my tradition, so the meditation is about mindful listening, and but when so when we have a conversation with others, as a human being, everyone is tempted to have an opinion or judgment on the content of the conversation, or the not only content but the quality of voice or the appearance or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So mindful listening is upholding making judgment.
Right.
So it's difficult. Often, as a human being, I'm tempted to make an opinion, judgment. But still, I try to be aware of my, temptation to make an opinion, so that I can let it go and return to the focus on just listening. So this is my way of meditation in a sense. But I actually prefer using the word cultivation, self-cultivation, rather than meditation.
Right.
Yeah.
So with your teaching, you're not encouraged to make opinions. You simply encourage to listen. Do you deal with emotions too? Are emotions also in a way a type of opinion? If you listen to someone and you feel some type of emotion. I'm also curious. I feel like in a way we struggle to deal with emotion. Sometimes, I get angry or etc.
Angry, sad.
Yeah. In your teaching, are you encouraged to embrace emotions, or are you encouraged to sort of mute?
It's not about muting the sound. I embrace my emotion. And so when I have conversation, so in this conversation as well, at many points, I'm moved and I'm, with some of my feelings, right? That's why we enjoy this dialogue as a human being interaction. So Buddhism is about becoming Buddha, becoming Buddha. Becoming Buddha is detaching. So detachment is about detachment, right? So not attached to anything.
Right.
It's a complete calmness, which I haven't attained yet. So becoming Buddha is direction, The founder of the Jodo Shinshu Buddhism often tells that I don't find any seeds to become a Buddha in myself. Because no matter how hard I practice, it seems I could never overcome my attachment. Always attached to something, even though I'm practicing very hard. So it seems in this life, I may not achieve Buddhahood.
That's a really ambitious goal.
Yeah. It's an ambitious goal. So in this life, it seems I cannot attain the complete Buddhahood. Yeah, because it's a very ambitious goal. But at least I know that I'm on the way to become Buddha eventually. Not in this life, but eventually I will become Buddha. And this is something we can learn from practicing cleaning.
Really?
Yeah, when you visit Japanese temple, you may find it very clean, spotless, clean. But actually, from the Buddhist, the monk's perspective, it's not perfect because there is no perfection in cleaning. Once you finish cleaning in the garden, for example, the leaves begin falling, right? So there is no end.
The dust.
Yeah. The dust is always, coming back. So having an end in cleaning practice is illusion.
Yeah, I think that's why I don't like cleaning, because it feels overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's continuous, never ending.
Right. So that's the problem many modern people have. Maybe like you, the people tend to, avoid to have something not perfect. People tend to, annoyed with perfectionism. I need to, complete 100% and then go. But so in reality, so there is no end in many things, right? So the cleaning practice initially looks like, okay, this is something we can. This is something we learn about perfectionism. But in reality, so what we can learn from cleaning is we need to be comfortable in imperfectionism.
That's really interesting.
Might be counterintuitive, but yeah.
Anyway, you were also speaking about collaborative cleaning and how it's kind of a form of performance art as well. And in Indonesia, we have a term called gotong royong, where gotong royong, it's an Indonesian term where everyone comes together to help each other to achieve a certain goal. Could you talk about your love for collaborative cleaning?
Cleaning practice is very inclusive. In a temple in Tokyo, I offer a session called Temple Morning once in a month on average.
Which temple in Tokyo? I will join next time I go.
Komyoji Temple.
Okay.
And from 7:30 to 8:30, it's just a 1 hour session. In the beginning, we chant sutra for 15 minutes, and then we move to the campus of the temple, and we clean wherever you want. Some people prefer cleaning the ground with a broom. Some people prefer with towel, and some people prefer cleaning in a cemetery.
Oh, right.
And for 20 minutes, and then the remaining time, we have a chat over tea. So the beauty of cleaning practice is without giving any instruction, people randomly start cleaning as they want. Some people prefer cleaning alone in silence. Some people group prefer cleaning with laughing, chatting, collaborative. And there is no competition. Right? There is no competition.
It can be though. If they make it. But usually
they make it if they make it. But
I guess because the goal is the same, to make a certain place clean.
Yeah.
So that's true.
But I don't give any blueprint for the goals, right?
Right.
But still, they understand what they are supposed to do, what they need to do, taking care of each other.
Yeah. Okay, I guess it's in our DNA and human nature.
Yeah. At least we all agree that we need to entropy. Yeah. Entropy goes from the high place to low place. So we need to raise the entropy collaboratively in any way. So no one kick the dustbin.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, somehow everyone goes the same direction.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the without any instruction. So
Right.
that's the beauty of.
But in your book, your first book, you do give sort of detailed instruction, not detailed instructions, maybe like methods. You share methods on how people clean in temples.
Yeah. So that's the method which is practiced in a monastery. But you don't necessarily need to follow the exactly the same instruction. But in Japanese practice, I mean, in any michi, Buddhism, karate, tea, house, ceremony, whatever, in any practices, there is kata. I mean,
kata means word in Indonesian.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Kata in Japanese, kata means the principle or the basics. Basics, right? So now, once you acquire, embody the basics, then you could go anywhere.
Right.
So as a basic, I just showed some practical way out of the monastic tradition.
Yeah, but I think also you don't need to give instructions to people to clean because it's been taught also from our parents, or we observe and we see how things society. I just want to read a couple of things I noted from your book that I think was quite beautiful. And
sure.
It's very simple, but it actually means a lot. And I think if you do it, it will enhance your life. So also with the cleaning methods, I think it's, even though people know how to clean intrinsically, but when you show them a more efficient method, it becomes easier and just more effective. Anyway, I love these. Like what was in the book, like you said, air things out, allow fresh air in and purify the air. I think that's important, not just in a physical sense, but also kind of like for your mind in terms of like maybe like breathing, for instance. Or letting out anger and emotions or whatever you have in your head to give new thoughts or fresh air in your mind. And then you also said the act of cleaning is a chance to communicate with nature and a way to converse with nature, which I really appreciate because I never thought about it that way. I thought quite the opposite. Instead of seeing cleaning as a beautiful thing, I saw it as a dirty thing. And I'd rather not to. But nonetheless, I don't like to live in a dirty place anyway. I like to everything clean, but I like someone else to do it. But now that I see the benefits of cleaning, I want to do it.
I'm not saying you cannot, ask others or even ask robots to clean on behalf of you. But my point is, so sometimes you need, everyone needs supporter, when they don't have time or, but my point is you cannot outsource your meditation practice.
Yes.
Right?
You're right.
Yeah.
So cleaning becomes enjoyable and very valuable for yourself when you see it in a beautiful light and in terms of it being a meditation practice. Okay, another thing is when it's hot outside, it should be hot. When it's cold outside, it should be cold. I love that. I also, maybe I have a couple more questions left. One of it is maybe, can you share the difference between your first and second book and why you decided to write your second book, or your experience between the two books, your experience writing it?
So the first one, The Quiet Mind, was the first one, I believe. I mean, the in Japanese version.
Oh, I see.
I see. So yeah. So it's more, general ideas. How you can improve your life in your everyday life, the quality in terms of mindfulness, and also the spirituality. But I wanted to write more concrete, more practical, which is not that philosophical, but more practical in physically. Yeah. So that's why I found, okay, so the cleaning practice is something I want to sell.
Yeah.
As a Japanese Buddhist tradition.
I see. So I would like to ask you if you have any book recommendations for young people, or for me, in regards to, you also spoke a lot about becoming a better ancestor, or for us to learn about ancestral wisdom. Are there any particular books that you would recommend?
So, yeah, of course. So one of them is Good Ancestor.
Oh, right? Good Ancestor. Yes.
Yes, exactly. So that's why I translated the book. Apart from that, sure. So I don't have any particular, title that I want to recommend to broadly. But it's about Good Ancestor, right? So I recommend you to reflect on your roots, backgrounds you're succeeding, right? So which could be the lineage you are in, or the teachers you were influenced, or the historic figures, the leaders, or even the anime characters.
Anime,
right? Whatever. So it's very good to know more about your ancestral, lineage.
Yeah, I think we tend to forget about our ancestors, and probably that's where most of our problems come from. In fact, I've been having some trouble in my life recently, and the advice I'm used to get from some Balinese is to pray to my ancestors, for asking for, guidance, protection, wisdom. But it won't hurt if we also read about it and learn about it. Why do you think that it's important for us to become good ancestors? Because, we don't know what's going to happen, right, after death. And I also think that it's not important to know, in a way, because, again, we might run into trouble if we're overwhelmingly stressed about finding those answers, because then you don't enjoy the life that you live in.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And because I actually had my palm read one time, and it says you have a very long life, but it can change. She said it can change, if you worry about your health too much. So why do you think it's important for us to become good ancestors?
Yeah, so the point you're making is very important. I appreciate you raised the question. So it's good to start to remember the fact that we are the future generations from the perspective of previous generation, right?
Yeah.
We are the future generations. The previous generations must have wished to have better life,
Right.
So it's good to start enjoying our life in the first place, because we are the future generation from the previous generation. Yeah, and actually, we are the beneficiaries of many innovations and inventions from our ancestors, right? So let's appreciate.
Yeah.
But so the next question is it enough just enjoying the the benefit from the previous generation? We will become ancestor for the future generation. So what could we pass to the next generation? And so recently I also asked the leaders like you of this question. Yeah, so what could we pass to the next generation, and at the same time what should we stop in our generation so that the future generation don't need to succeed?
Yeah, and I think because a lot of people stop caring about becoming a good ancestor or the importance of leaving great things behind for the next generation, that the world's become very individualized and also basically the root of problems and a collective struggle. Because when leaders, especially leaders of our country or our home, doesn't care about being a good human being, thus not becoming a good ancestor, our lives crumble. Because in a way they also have such authority and power for the well-being of our lives. And I think, again, coming back to your love for collective cleaning, if everyone comes together, cleans, we'll just live a much better life, because we already have so much internal problems that we don't need to externalize it. And I think it's really great that you bring up the importance of becoming a good ancestor, because a lot of people are forgetting it, and I think it's more important than ever. And perhaps your next project, maybe, are you writing another book?
Yeah, so recently I often think about the relationship between AI and humanity.
Oh, wow. I didn't see that coming.
Still on the way.
Japan is a very high-tech nation.
I'm not sure. I'm not
anymore,
sure,
maybe.
But not anymore in the previous way. But we have a great philosophy which can coexist with AI robots. Do you know Doraemon?
Of course.
And
I grew up watching Japanese anime and Doraemon.
Doraemon is a great example that shows the Japanese, philosophy. So the Nobita and Doraemon coexist perfectly. Nobita and the other people acknowledge the Doraemon's, rights fully, 100%. So if Nobita has dorayaki, So the Doraemon's favorite, sweet.
Yeah.
So then he must, share the dorayaki with Doraemon. So he doesn't say, this is something for only human being,
Yeah.
but so it's not for robot. So he doesn't say like that. So yeah, I observe in the world there are many discussions around ethics and AI, and I observed the emergence of the interest in animistic tradition.
Right.
Yeah. So in the mostly in the Abrahamic religion,
yes,
a human being must be special, related to God. So the human being must be special compared to other, species. So the word, the concept humanity is concept which differentiate human beings from others. Humanity. So there's a connotation.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that because of the emergence of AI, so why human beings were so special? Because human beings have logos, rational, science, and language. That's why we successfully built a civilization, right? But now, so ironically, the human beings, because human beings created AI, generative AI, so generative AI is becoming dominant in the logos world. So now the human beings are losing their the foundation of their existence, advantage. So what they find now is, okay, we need to differentiate ourselves from AI. How can we do? All right, we are animals in the first place. So that's why we are different from AI. So this is the new definition of humanity in my observation.
Yes.
Right. So in this shift, value shift, it's inevitable to, see the rise of animism. Animism is the animal, around animal, and anima, and anime. Yeah. So these days I think around these things.
Wow. Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting book even for me now. I want to start reading more about the future of AI and how it can coexist with tradition, because me personally, and I'm sure a lot of young people who are living in a space where a lot of things are changing so rapidly, and sort of we are facing threats of losing our identity and culture. We're trying to protect and preserve what we had as much as we can. So it's going to be so interesting to see what's coming with AI, and perhaps how it can also become, a better tool for us to become better ancestors, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
To protect our world.
Yeah, so we could see AI not as an enemy, but as a friend, like Doraemon.
Like Doraemon. I love that. Thank you so much, Shoukei.
Thank you so much.
That was a really in-depth conversation about yourself, cleaning, books, etc. AI. I'm looking forward to what's next for you, your next book, and this topic is really intriguing.